So once William comes home, him and I go for a drive. I try to warm up with him by making fun of myself. Or like telling him something goofy I did. And, obviously he knew that I knew what happened at the school by that time. So then I just started getting inquisitive about like if he knew what that meant, what that word meant, and, why it caused concern or whatever at the school. And he said he kind of did, but not really. And I asked him, like, what gave him the inclination to say that. Somebody on Roblox, ask him that. Ask him if he was going to self-delete, how he would do it. My 10-year-old, well, he's 10th time. You say that to anybody? Yeah, I told my dad, my stepmom. I was like, well, what did they say? And he said they were just criticizing me and they were just mad at me. Them that I didn't mean it. Like I wasn't like feeling that way or anything like that. So William did not like insinuate in one bit that he had any feelings of like self-harm. He was repeating something that was asked to him through a video game. So I tell Nick this and he literally ignores me. Literally ignores me. Because again, he already had an agenda once I started to learn more. Because even though I knew by this point that it was clear that Nick was running this really wild, weirdo agenda and campaign and narrative, like just beyond desperate to put this like trauma on William. He put him on meds, make him seem like he's emotionally dysfunctional. And at the same time, him not recognizing that by him doing that and his behavior was actually causing that dissonance. But maybe he did know that because this is also a common form of voodoo and magic. People think of this like glamorized idea of voodoo and black magic and all of that. And not to say that, rituals and incantation and thing, it definitely is. And there are some people, unlikely actually, more responsible practitioners that typically will use those sorts of things. Like if they do actually work with demons or whatever, but which I never recommend. I would venture to say like 98.9% of anybody you would find on social media that could teach you about that could actually do any kind of possession or work with demons, anything like that. There are very few actual people, they qualified, but responsible. Because I don't really think anybody's qualified. But that's my personal belief. And I don't need to project that on anybody else. Like, if I scroll by somebody on social media that is doing those things, or that's the way they choose to live their life, that's their choice. And see, because I recognize that through self-awareness, I can show up, be in the energy of these people. If I ever was inquisitive, they're going to be more open to teaching me. Even though I don't agree with their lifestyle, it's not something personally that I have any interest in participating in. I don't need to. That's not what has, brought meaning into my life. You know what I'm saying? But if it's none of my business, it's none of my business. And just overall, if more people took this approach, even people that are into the dark arts, black magic, voodoo, people that are from the kingdom of darkness, even the people from the kingdom of darkness would appreciate a Christian having this perspective, because I also feel like anybody from any religion, any religious affiliation, I believe they should feel the same way. If what you are worshiping is for you and for your purpose and for whatever it is that you serve, going around tearing other people down would not be a thing. It wouldn't have to be a thing. My major issue with anything occult is the spiritual bypassing, is the fact that there is too much of a risk of people who don't know what they're doing, just going and making a hobby of it, going into a metaphysical store, and that's what they go to, and they never actually heal. And what ends up happening is they get stunted, and then they project all of their lower vibrational feelings onto other people that don't deserve it, like me, like what's happening right now. The jealousy, which is by far the dumbest. Envy and jealousy is by far the dumbest. I was actually thinking about this. I don't think that there's any demons that the more common occultists or practitioners, I don't think that there is a demon that specifically has any representation of jealousy or envy. I don't think there is, because there's no benefit. There's literally no benefit to that lower vibration. It's a hollow. It's an empty. There's nothing there. So that is for sure coming from a wound. But you can see when somebody has the inability to recognize that projection of that low vibration emotion, of course, if they have access to something that, they feel is going to help fill that void feeling, something ritualistic or, demonology or just any kind of black magic, voodoo, whatever, they're going to be more inclined, more motivated to try to use something like that. And that's how idiots, dipshits, like the ones here in this little group, not the ones that are watching me that aren't a part of this, that also feel like these people are morons, but the ones that are still watching me for some reason, unbeknownst to me still. But anyways, what they do is they create this dissonance. And by the way, this is a very common practice in the Freemasons. Okay, this is their actual magic. And people who, even in the Freemasons, will tell you, this is where I actually learned it, from a Freemason. And people who have healed or have left the Freemasons, who have denounced the Freemasonry, they will tell you this also. This is one of the reasons that they start children very young, and like what these sick, nasty fucking freaks are trying to do to my son right now. I'm sorry, it just gets me a little... Oof. Know that people are out here trying to intentionally abuse your child, and you have been speaking about it repeatedly, trying to get advocacy from people who are actually required to report it. If a mother is reporting that someone is harming their child and nobody does anything, why? Because these people in particular, these officials, are all a part of this little group who also were very uneducated, because if any of them were qualified or educated to what they were doing, they would have never came for me whatsoever, right? So what they do, though, is they try to repeatedly put you into that state of dissonance through causing trauma, through creating narratives in your physical reality that you want to withdraw like out of your physical reality and go within. Okay, so like, because these low life scum rodent, like bottom feeders, that's what they are, they're bottom feeders. They want to drive this narrative that they've already created, because they make their whole agenda around their egos. Okay, and we're talking about gargantuan size egos here, to the point of literally acting out of complete delusion, like no reality, no facts, nothing. Okay, and so most of them, because some of these people probably grew up in this, so they're programmed to believe that they can just go around doing this shit on everybody. They end up with like god-sized complexes, like out of this world, like don't even fit in this world anymore. They're so gargantuan and stupid and truly stupid. And so they truly believe that they are all powerful. Like they lose sight of even the technical aspects, like the realistic, like this doesn't, what? You know? And anybody, regardless of like if you're on the dark side or the light side, if you have this religion or that religion, just basic common knowledge, basic logic, okay? Basic arithmetic could add up to the fact that this is dumb. This is going to cause a big problem for a lot of us. And when it gets to the point of inheriting a curse from the hand of God that's down on your whole community of people, and you still don't surrender, that only is further evidence of how you truly do not give a shit about anybody but yourself. And anybody who would continue to even support you is a moron. Because not only are you willing to sacrifice a completely innocent person who did absolutely nothing to you, with an actual destiny and an anointing, which, by the way, any responsible practitioner, even Satanist, would know they can't do that. They wouldn't even attempt it. It would be a waste of their time. Especially one who is actually respectful. Like, I don't go out of my way, like, hunting down Satanists. You know, I don't go out of my way calling people that I have some prejudice because I hold fear within me because I'm actually a demon, you know, because there's a lot of priests and pastors right now that they themselves have a giant Leviathan choking out their actual ability to process basic logic. And so they go around finger pointing at everybody else because they don't carry the spirit of love. They're not even a true Christian. They're wearing Christianity as a mask so that they can go around blaming other people and saying that's the language of Jesus. No, it is not. The language of Jesus is one that actually goes into the dark. If you actually ever took the time to read the Bible, you would know this. You know, when he meant the leper, the prostitute, he didn't hang out there. He didn't chase him down. Judah, he didn't chase him down. He still forgave him. He didn't chase him down, run after him. Say, come on, stick with me here. I know you're a betrayer, but stick with me. No. He already knew that was going to happen. And he allowed. Because Jesus is not the spirit of control. And what is happening here ultimately with the spirit of control is why you are where you are is because of you. It's because of you. William is so bright. And it's really devastating. This, I mean, just aside from not being with him and not knowing what's happening with him and knowing like the fear and just the pointlessness of what his own father is putting him through. And again, it hits a little bit different, especially because, you know, my mom did this to me and my dad, like the exact same thing, except my dad sacrificed. My dad did not fully recognize, or maybe he did, I don't know. But everything happens for, you know, a divine reason. Everything unfolded the way that it needed to. And even in his passing, for me to have the person who taught me unconditional love, the person who was my anchor, still to this day the greatest man I've ever known, at 14, to watch him go into the ground and then feel sort of alone out here in this world, having to navigate this crazy place with a Jezebel demon queen in the background, just waiting for the day until it was my turn to be sacrificed. Even with that happening, just the 14 years I had with him was so significant. And so I lean into that a lot with both my kids, but particularly William. And William just has a different spirit about him. Melena's still very strong-willed, but she just has a different spirit. And because of the time, and even right now, of my mother's extreme efforts to force her way and create a barrier between the true bond between me and my daughter. Being able to have, you know, the type of closeness and bond that every family should have. But every family that has that has boundaries around their family because they know it is very important for all of the people that could potentially bring toxicity into that environment, that could create a poison that's venom in their environment. So anybody who is disrespectful, dishonorable, not respecting boundaries, you know, overstepping their place. And see, I understand that there are a lot of people that have been programmed to believe that, like, this is just how it is, right? If you have a daughter-in-law, a mother-in-law, a father-in-law, a father, you know, like families, like you're supposed to just sit around and abuse each other and it's supposed to just be okay. And the children are supposed to just all listen to it and everybody's just supposed to take it all in. And that's totally normal. And, you know, then you gossip about each other behind each other's backs. And people have dysfunctional relationships, and that curse, because that's what that is, just continues to perpetuate. And so people who are sitting in that, who embody that, and are unwilling to look at the fact that it is actually having a negative effect on their life, if you have the third generation, so you have like grandparents, parents, and then you have the grandkids or nieces, nephews, cousins, aunts, uncles, you know what I'm saying? And at each level, you have children that have divorces, children from multiple different parents, unemployment or struggle with finances, sexuality, struggle with religion, struggle with creativity, struggle with addictions, struggle with anything that they could potentially struggle with, that nobody wants to actually sit down and be like, what is the root of this? Oh, me. Who's responsible for fixing this? Oh, me. Who is going to support me with this? Well, let's see. Okay, no, they're judging you. They're not supporting you. They don't want to see you happy. They want to keep judging you. Okay, well, then they can't be a part of it. They're not supporting you. So then you have to make a choice there too, you see? It requires a lot of self-awareness. But we all get a choice. But when you have somebody that is narcissistic, especially like malignant narcissism, where their desires, their needs, their wants, their beliefs, their opinions oversee and override everybody else at the expense of everybody else. And they truly don't even feel bad about it. Put on a show, they feel bad about it, or maybe they won't. Maybe they'll just blatantly, say, I don't care, or whatever, or they'll continue to argue. And there's not boundaries laid down. Like, if you're in a relationship and you share a home with a person, okay? This actually happened in my life. This was Nick, actually, when we lived together. My mom routinely would try to tell Nick how to parent Melina, make suggestions. She would routinely enable Melina in making bad choices. So if Nick or I gave her a consequence, my mom would make sure that she reinforced that was just Nick being a jerk, me being a jerk. She would make very underhanded, like off the cuff comments, or like want to bring things up that weren't appropriate to talk about in front of Melina, or talk about things with Melina that weren't appropriate to talk about with Melina. Like trying to pull information, like a monitoring spirit out of my kids, but specifically Melina. And then, or if I was at work and there would be a disagreement, Melina would call my mom. Or if my mom had an opinion about something, if we put a rule down or we gave Melina a consequence, my mom always had to share her opinion. And if I didn't agree with her opinion, she would just override me. Like if I said Melina couldn't go somewhere, my mom would just take her anyways. If I said Melina couldn't have something, my mom would just give it to her anyways. You're creating a child that doesn't respect their parent. Why would they? You see? And see, here's the thing. You have to remember, when we're talking about grandparents, okay? People are very easy at convincing other people, like their sisters, people who love to eat up the tea. They love to gossip, okay? Or they're just have nothing going on in their lives, so they're fine to talk about other people, right? And then other people do this for a malicious reason. And here's the thing, a lot of people do this. They really do. One of the reasons, like these cult, like family systems, especially ones that are so intentional, like the disgusting rodents who have no self-awareness, who want to act like they did nothing wrong, who act like they knew nothing when you did the whole time. And yet the whole time you have the audacity to judge me, but here you are looking like a giant pathological liar that can't take accountability for who you are. So who actually is not connected with the universe? Who actually is not connected with God? Right. When you get systems like this, though, and you have somebody who is intentionally paying somebody to abuse you, is looking for people who will be spiritual hitmen, like seeking out narcissists or Jezebels or somebody that can abuse you, or just that they will be easy to manipulate also. So, if you were single or like me, that's when they're going to start plotting and planning. If, you end up breaking up or you're out of a relationship, you might think that you've just met somebody naturally. And if it's another narcissist, you might want to look a little bit closer. Yes, there is a pattern that you're playing into if you start dating them. But if you're not practicing self-worth and self-love, then you might still be a part of that pattern. And again, because I'm self-aware, yes, I can look and I can point the finger and blame people for that, but I don't need to, because but for the people that I had in my life, I wouldn't have the things that I'm grateful for now, because I turned those things into my purpose. Those ultimately became my power. You know what I mean? Like, it's all about perception, right? And like somebody who is very superficial, somebody who they themselves are programmed, if they're insecure and they're jealous and they're putting themselves in competition with other people, especially people that don't even know that they see on social media, like me, you don't even know me. If you see me on social media, you do not know me. Okay. I likely am a lot more authentic and open than a lot of social media people, but you still don't know me. You don't know me. Like further beyond that guy right there, your phone. People will see that and they will start comparing themselves to that. And I don't want people to compare themselves to me. Well, mainly because you don't know me. And two, because you're projecting your perception of who I am onto me when you don't even know me. So whatever your jealousy is coming from is not accurate. These things actually are, this is sort of a blueprint, okay, that if you've gone through it enough, you're going to start to recognize. Like pretty much every woman that most would consider like the triple threat. We've gone through this so many times, especially with men and other women. Naturally, the women that will gravitate to us are going to be women that aren't insecure or they're codependent. And still, those are the same patterns that you're going to find in men also. And so when you have a family system or you have somebody that's doing voodoo on you, like with an intent to sacrifice you, they're going to do whatever they can to continue to drive that narrative. Again, I keep bringing up Damari Hatley in the Diddy Jacket because that's just one of the first examples you're going to see of just how far these people will go, control other people's lives. But ultimately, the bottom line is they get paid. They get paid. They already have an illegal conservatorship, a trust fund, royalties that they've made off of your money, off of your image, off of your creativity. So whatever it is that they did in the background, it really doesn't matter because ultimately there's some financial gain. Maybe they just even like put life insurance policies out on you, and there might be multiple that you're even completely unaware of. They might even just have an illegal power of attorney. You have no idea. Maybe they have, a property that they think is hidden from you, and they wanted to steal your identity to be able to get away with stealing that, to the point of creating like literally a body double of you. Having this person go around and take pictures, right, from the back, because she doesn't have this. Shouldn't have this. And even from the back, you got to put a filter on your flat ass on social media, thinking that you were going to get away with that, thinking that there wasn't going to be a consequence. There is. Doctor, they'll have them go and get like a medical diagnosis in your name. They'll have them go to the hospital, go to get a job in your name. They'll run a business that is actually yours, take over your platforms and lock you in a digital cage so you can't even see what's going on. And then, of course, they've bribed all of the officials around you, even move into your neighborhood and shit, get you under their control so that all of these pathological pieces of garbage shit trash, because anybody who would participate in this, you are garbage. You are a bottom feeder. Your opinion is about as relevant as a dried cat turd. For you to think that I would even give a shit about anything that would come out of your mouth, about anything that would come out of anybody who would even support you's mouth, they themselves are showing their character by even having any affiliation to you. Being pieces of shit. They can't just go out and get a normal job like everybody else. You have to go steal it from somebody. Or being a parent that plays a perpetual victim when you're actually setting your own kid up. When you're actually willing to sacrifice your own kid at the expense of the trauma of your own grandchildren. That makes you a pathological piece of shit. I'm sorry. I do not care whose feelings that hurt. I don't. I don't. You have gaslit and projected your whole life, and a lot of people have done this. There's been a lot of programming to say that you can't say what I'm saying right now, that these people are pathological pieces of garbage shit trash. I'm not one of those people that you can program. Sorry. Should have done your research. They want to keep you under their control. They want to keep you low. And then whatever else they do to you, they might drug you. They might hire a hit on you. They might do whatever they need to do to fit the narrative or the agenda that they want to create. And this is where you have to know your own worth. And many people haven't, unfortunately, and they can fall into this. And this is how they've been able to get away with it. Brittany, Justin, who else? Amanda. Like, there's a whole slew of people that are all a part of this. Like, this network stretches out, y'all. It stretches, okay? Even if somebody is gaining an influence, even if they've already like tried to steal a will, they've tried to steal property, like they just decided to be like low life scumbag predators who decided that they wanted a cut, right? Like, let's say grandma or grandpa passes away, mom or dad passes away, aunt, uncle passes away, and everybody gets something, and then the one thing that gets left to the one person, and they all come together at like a holiday that person's not at, likely because that person recognized the toxicity that was happening. And they all decide, you know what, screw him, screw her, we're just going to set up this whole situation, and then we'll split all this, or we'll just give it to this person instead, and or you know what I mean? Like that's how they plan it. Or let's say it is money. Let's say it's stocks or bonds that they think that you don't know about. And they all decide how they're going to run this scheme, right? Where they will send in a spiritual hitman. This is what they call themselves, spiritual assassins, okay? And as far as like the predators that are programmed to be this way, now they'll call themselves something fancier, like the fallen angels, the watchers, whatever they call themselves, reptilians, I don't care, okay? We're not glamorizing this bullshit anymore. You're fucking predators. You're criminals. You're bottom feeders. Okay, that's what you are. The people around you might want to glamorize your bullshit to make you feel a little bit more comfy in who you are, but I'm not going to do that because I'm a truth teller and I unconditionally love people. I'm not going to enable you in being a predator. Okay, so this is for your own good. If you don't like it, keep it pushing. It's like grooming of you. And then naturally, because depending on what level of narcissist they are, like how deep into their own programming they are, they're going to try to create a trauma bond with you. That's what they're going to try to do. This shit goes all the way back, okay? It's ancient. It's surprising that they're still trying to pull this shit. Like, your shit's old news.